Let's talk some NBA. Now, we did erroneously say last week that we'd be a little bit quiet in the NBA moving
Where's
forward.
this we? It was you.
It was me. Yeah, true. We're a team here. We're a team. All the times you fuck up people's names, I'll write it out with you. I'll write it out with you and say we.
I'm not the only one. I'm just the most regular.
The most regular, yes.
Yeah. Consistency on the esky here.
Anyways, let's talk the massive week that was in the NBA after I erroneously said that, we wouldn't have too much to talk about. Probably the biggest story, although there's plenty of bombshells, is KD, Kevin Durant, saying he wants out of Brooklyn. He did announce that less than 24 hours after Kyrie re-signed to stay with the Nets. Opted in. Yep.
Well, which I essentially think means his deal is guaranteed. So he's on 45-ish mil. So I'd say he's in that space. But yeah, if he gets traded, they're essentially trading his contract. So he's agreed to that. So
it's pretty gross, I reckon. Like, it's hard to stay Team KD, as talented as he is, after the ring chasing and getting him with the Warriors. And it's kind of like we spoke about Brooklyn putting this team together, and we're calling them the Monstars. The villains from Space Jam. For him to go, oh well, Harden's gone, and we're obviously haven't lived up to the expectations, and now he wants out.
Well, again, we kind of talked about this earlier. Maybe the Nets sold him on potential of what they're going to be, and it just hasn't been. So
sold him the world.
Yes, and he's ring chasing and potentially go as well. There's rumours of a deal with him and Irving to go
to double deal.
Double deal to go to the
Lakers, perhaps, but also I've seen the Suns and Heat thrown out there.
But to go to Lakers, I think the reverse would be AD is probably going to have to be as a piece that comes back in the other direction.
Could you imagine a team with AD, LeBron, Kyrie, and KD? That's like the dream team, essentially. That's like an Olympic team right there.
But is that what you need to go?
That is not good for the NBA for that to happen.
But it's also that way you need to go up against the Warriors,
That's it. Well, maybe it is good. Maybe it is good for the NBA.
So that's what they're kind of trying to aim towards. And poor Ben Simmons, he might end up being the number one option at the Nets with no support cast.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Patty Mills, he got $2 million more by not taking his player options, and then they just re-signed him straight away.
Oh, they did good because I saw he was had a lot of suitors on the open market as a guy that can shoot and fill in. So
they gave him 2 years, 14.5 mil, so he'll get $7 a year for the next 2 years. And like we just alluded to, it might be the Australian Nets, with Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons and Patty Mills may have to be two starters in the Nets if KD and Kyrie were to leave. It's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be an absolute circus, going forward.
We've seen it across the board, and I don't think we had it on our list, but the Bronson deal for
I've got it on the list. Yeah, I got it on the list.
I just can't read. It's all right.
That's all right. You're struggling with the Australian flag before those.
No, there it is down there. The weird trades. Yes.
Yeah. Right. We'll get to.
It's right at the bottom, bro. I can barely see it.
I know, man.
The laptop's in the way.
Excuses. I'm hearing a lot of excuses here. The Suns came out and said, maybe they'll be interested, and Brooklyn were like, we're only trading him for Booker.
Exactly.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. So
the Suns can't do that.
No. I think the Heat is maybe the only other logical kind of spot for him to end up. But
what does that mean? Like Jimmy B's going to be in it?
Well, what power do they have? Draft picks only? Like, would you do a 3 draft pick?
For the Heat,
3 first rounders for KD? I don't think that's worth it. That's a pretty big gamble.
If you get a Heat, you'd think you want to get some pieces for Jimmy B, but then you've seen Jimmy moved around a heap too. Maybe
that'd be a big fucking slap in the face of Jimmy Butler if they traded him after he put him on his shoulders and to get him, to Game 7 of an Eastern Conference
switch
Finals.
It for Durant.
It's going to be a circus moving forward.
Yep. Speaking of the circus, keep going.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook. So he's done his opt-in to stay.
Same thing. I think it's like
Lakers.
47 mil for him.
Yep.
So in the 40 mils. And I think the same kind of thing. Like potentially, if they're all got this trade bait, and we didn't talk about it. We talked about those 4. If Russell's still there as well, you can't keep all these guys. You got to move them. They've got to be trade pieces.
Exactly. Does Russ for KD and Kyrie and draft picks, could that be on the table?
Yeah. Well, what do you got there, James?
Yeah. So it looks like Nets and Lakers are in talks between Westbrook and Irving. In that switch him, and in that trade, the Nets would look for draft picks. No report on what rounds or anything like that.
And KD's not involved in this murmur.
KD's not involved. Joe Harris and the remainder of his contracts. The Nets want to trade him out.
Yeah, right. There's 38 mil on Joe Harris's contract. I didn't think that
over 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Oh, it's over 2 years, right?
Yeah.
He's on that John Wall contract.
That's it. But the Lakers don't want Harris. They'd rather Curry in the deal. Seth Curry.
Which is fair.
Yeah. So you'd probably be looking at Seth, Irving, and some sort of draft pick for Westbrook.
Interesting. But again, this is all just theories.
Theories, yeah.
It's
very
where
early.
the chat is.
Apparently
there's a connection between the Lakers and Nets is what we're getting at.
Yep.
So what that deal ends up being, we'll have to wait and see.
Nikola Jokic, he got a Supermax deal, the biggest one in NBA history. Now, we'll talk in pre-show as to how this worked. There must be something to do with that they're allowed to pay him more now because the Supermaxes used to be like
260.
No, they were like.
I'm sure last year's were 260.
Were they 260?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I think what we're saying
is like 251 or something.
Yeah, there's probably
$9 million.
I think it's just we've been rounding up so far. So I think it's just the percentages of what the salary cap becomes year on year out and what they get media deal wise, as we've been talking about. That's this year's has bumped up, but it's 270 max. So he's got that and signed it. So
5 years, $270 million.
That's probably fair for a back-to-back MVP.
I think considering some of the dudes that got max deals.
Yeah, considering Ben Simmons got a max deal,
Bradley Beal got one. He's he's a great player, but he's hasn't played a full season for the last 3 years. So interesting. Yeah, I think it's fair to give a reigning two-time MVP a Supermax. I wonder how far 270 mil goes in Serbia. I reckon I can't imagine the houses there cost as much as they do in Denver.
By suburbs.
Jar got a max rookie extension at the Grizz, so that's 5 years, 193 million.
Just back on Supermax, it's 35% of the salary cap.
Yeah, so if the salary cap goes up.
So the cap goes up, so he gets 35%.
Yeah, it's fair. Yep. Like we said, percentages cap, we were right on the money.
Yeah.
And then some really weird trades.
Bradley Beal, I think we mentioned that.
Yeah,
got his max as well.
Yep. So the first one, which happened early in the week, was DeJounte Murray from the Spurs. He's going to go to the Hawks. So
three firsts. Yep.
Yeah. So for 3 first-round picks and Danilo Gallinari. So interesting. Lots of people were saying, the Hawks have won this trade to pair DeJounte with Trae Young. It's interesting because both of them are true point guards. So someone's going to have to move to be, more of a shooting guard. I suppose Trae's the better 3-point shooter.
Well, he is the shooter in the team. So
yeah, but he's not known as an elite one. What was the meme you were talking about with the assists? And it's
no one would go up for a bucket. They just sort of passing it to each other. Each on 9 assists, trying to get that 10. And just passing it around.
It's a bit of a head scratcher. Let us know what you think about DeJounte Murray to the Hawks. Obviously, a highly talented player and has a massive future for himself in the NBA. Made the All Stars. Team this year. And then another kind of head-scratching one in terms of fit was Rudy Gobert leaving the Jazz to go to the T-Wolves. Obviously, there's a bloke there called Karl Anthony Towns. He just signed a Supermax extension himself. So you've got 2 true centres there at the T-Wolves. Obviously, one of them's going to have to play the 4. You'd imagine that's probably going to be KAT. They also had a Kyle Anderson, who's himself a handy small forward. We're talking a lot about, the big 3 there at the T-Wolves. This year, it's starting to look like a full roster, like a full starting 5, I suppose.
I think what we've seen with Towns being able to shoot the 3 ball, and he does more as he's a very athletic big man, as a big centre.
They're very different centres, aren't they?
Whereas
Gobert's really a glass cleaner, true defensive centre.
So I wonder if that's the play. They want him to play more of a true centre to maybe free up Towns to do more of the stuff, use his talents elsewhere on the court. It'd be interesting to see.
To be like a Nowitzki kind of,
it may work. It may blow up in their face. Well, they've got their season essentially to test it.
It's a strange trade in terms of fit. Obviously, talent-wise, they're two of the most talented big men in the NBA, but also like just lining up that big as well. We saw the Warriors. You know, they can sometimes run five guys. There with Draymond being the biggest bloke on the court.
It's the thing, big man against the board don't matter if you're shooting it from outside the arc. Like,
exactly
right. It kind of nullifies that, yes.
But it's kind of cool as well. I don't hate it. I don't know how well it's going to work, but I kind of just like trying to watch how this is going to play out in terms of interest, because the way that the league's been going has been going small perimeter shooting, or having one dominant big man like a Joel Embiid or a Nikola Jokic.
Yep.
So having two...
Well, both of those guys have been lacking, though, team-wise, when they get to playoffs with four shooters. That's what they need. So
it's super interesting. Is it the right fit? Time will tell. It definitely causes a bit of head scratching.
Yes.
Malcolm Brogdon's a good pickup, I think, for the Celtics. They traded him for Daniel Tice and Aaron Naismith. So he'll go over from the Pacers, add some more firepower to that. And we'll talk about, the Warriors going small. The Celtics don't mind going small. They'll often have no one on the court over 6'8". So that adds another good, small forward / shooting guard over there. Jalen Brunson, we did allude to it. He got a massive deal to go to the Knicks from the Mavs. The Mavs kind of looking like a bit of a rebuild around Luka Doncic. So going to be interesting to see the impact that Brunson will have at the Knicks.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Mavs have definitely taken the approach of, we need new tools with Luka. What we had's not working. Let's try something different. Unsure if the new pieces they're bringing in are going to be what they need to push themselves over the edge to try and compete for a championship there. Again, another one of those, time will tell. We'll have to see if what they've done will work. On paper at the moment, you're like, maybe there were better options. With all the teams we talked about, probably look to have a big three, and I'm not sure the Mavs really have that outside. They've got their star, their big one in Luka, and whether they've added anything to help him to build towards that big three, I don't know.
Well, Christian Wood, I think, is a pretty handy centre, but that's two.
Yeah, yes.
So we talk about big three, so I suppose, do they make a play at someone here in free agency?
Yes.
John Wall to the Clippers for a 2-year deal, I believe. Andre Drummond to the Bulls, and Dante DiVincenzo over to the Golden State Warriors. That's probably enough for trade talk. Now,
and signings,
Miles Bridges, this is a bit of a sticky situation. Domestic violence, some photos emerged of his wife looking a bit battered and bruised, have emerged. It came just after Charlotte offered him a big extension. He had a massive year as well, his best year for the Hornets. I think this one is going to be one that needs to go through the courts and the rest of it. Monks, you got an article there. Anything further to report?
Has he been charged with a felony?
I think, is there a charge? Yeah, there's
charged with felony domestic violence. Yeah, so he was released on $130,000.
$130 is not a bad bail.
Not bad.
NBA players wipe their ass with that.
That's it. Wipe their ass with $130,000 as well. Court date 20 July.
Okay. So
the reason I mention it is because if it's charges laid by his missus, she could drop them at any point. If she if they kind of rekindle and et cetera. But yeah, felony charge, that's out of their hands.
Not good, man.
Very much that's court system. So
Ray Rice, it's pretty much ended his career. And obviously,
in his account, deservingly so.
Pretty bad.
Yes.
Pretty bad.
Yes.
So we'll see. How that one goes moving forward.